The first punch wasn't thrown with fists, it was with silence. That silence, stretched over 5 long years, cut deeper than any betrayal. And when I came back to New York, standing on the same cracked pavement where my life had shattered, I realized nothing had healed, not even me. I wasn't supposed to see him that night. I told myself I'd avoid all the places we once carved our names into: the diner on 11th Street, the dim bar where we sang badly into microphones, the apartment steps where I'd whispered that I couldn't breathe without him. But fate is cruel, and fate doesn't forget. He was there, and worse, he wasn't alone. Ethan stood with his arm around my brother's shoulder like it had always belonged there. My brother Daniel, man who had been my anchor, my blood, my best friend, the one person I trusted with everything. I watched from across the street, hidden by the night, my chest burning as if a match had been lit inside me. Ethan's laughter rang out, the same laugh I once thought I'd spend a lifetime chasing, and Daniel leaned into him like he was the only safe place left in the world. I had promised myself I'd be calm if this ever happened, that I'd smile, shake hands, pretend I was healed. But healing isn't real when scars bleed the moment they're touched. 5 years ago, Ethan was mine, or at least I thought he was. He kissed me under that same skyline, whispered vows we never dared to say out loud. We were young, reckless, and terrified of being seen, but the love was real. It was raw, sharp, undeniable. Until it wasn't. It started: small missed calls, vague excuses, Daniel suddenly disappearing on weekends. I didn't connect the dots until it was too late. When I walked in on them, Ethan's shirt half open, Daniel's hand trembling against his chest, my world collapsed. Betrayal doesn't announce itself. It slams into you like a train you never saw coming. So I left. I ran from them, from this city, from myself. But now, standing there again, I realized running doesn't erase ghosts. They only wait until you're too weak to keep them buried. I crossed the street before I could stop myself. The night air smelled of gasoline and old rain, and each step felt heavier than the last. Daniel noticed me first. His smile froze, his arm falling stiff at his side, guilt flashing across his face like lightning. Ethan turned slowly, and when his eyes found mine, the world narrowed to just us. Alex. My name on his lips sounded both foreign and achingly familiar. I hated that my body reacted before my mind could. My chest tightened, my throat ached, and my knees almost buckled at the sound. 5 years hadn't dulled the effect he had on me. Daniel stepped forward, shielding Ethan like I was the danger. You shouldn't be here, he said, his voice low, defensive. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Trust me, I didn't come looking for this. My eyes stayed locked on Ethan, searching his face for something: regret, shame, longing, anything. But all I saw was the same boy I once loved, now trapped in a man's body, carrying a weight neither of us could name. Silence swallowed us again, just like it had 5 years ago. Only this time I refused to let it be the last word. Does he make you happy? I asked Ethan, the words spilling out like poison I'd kept too long. Ethan's lips parted, but nothing came. Daniel stiffened, stepping closer, his voice sharp. That's none of your business. I turned to him, my brother, my betrayer, and for a moment I almost didn't recognize him. His eyes were harder, his jaw tighter, but the guilt was still there, festering beneath the surface. You made it my business when you took what wasn't yours. I shot back, the venom in my tone surprising even me. Ethan flinched. Daniel clenched his fists. And me? I stood there, caught between the urge to scream and the desperate need to cry. The city around us buzzed with life cars honking, people laughing, music spilling from open bars, but it all felt distant, muffled, like the world had dimmed just for this confrontation. I thought about leaving again, disappearing into the night and letting them live their lie. But something inside me screamed that this wasn't finished, that 5 years of silence couldn't end with one bitter reunion. So I stayed. And that was the beginning of the storm none of us were ready to face. Ethan's eyes followed me even when Daniel tried to pull him away, like a compass refusing to point anywhere else. For days after that first confrontation, I wandered the city restless, replaying every word, every silence, every ghost that lingered in their stares. I told myself I'd let it go, that my life had moved on. But the truth was uglier. I still loved him, even if that love was twisted with pain. The second time I saw him, it wasn't planned either. He was sitting alone in the cafe we used to haunt, nursing a black coffee like it was penance. His hands shook slightly as he turned the cup, and when his eyes lifted and landed on me, something broke in both of us. "You came back," he whispered, as though he still couldn't believe it. "I never should have," I answered, though every cell in my body screamed the opposite. We talked then haltingly, painfully. Words were clumsy weapons, and every sentence seemed to reopen an old wound. He told me Daniel had been there for him when I left, when his world collapsed under the weight of secrets and shame. He told me it wasn't love at first, it was survival. A desperate need not to drown alone. And I listened, torn between fury and understanding. I wanted to hate him, to burn down everything we'd ever built. But beneath all the betrayal, I still saw the boy who had once kissed me like I was air itself. It wasn't until the third time, in the quiet of his apartment, that everything spilled out. "I never stopped loving you, Alex," he said, his voice breaking, his hands trembling as they hovered near mine. "Even when I was with him, it was you. Always you." Those words should have healed me. Instead, they carved deeper scars. Because love wasn't enough, not after what had happened. Not when Daniel's shadow hung between us like a wall neither of us could tear down. And then came the night Daniel confronted me alone. He stood on my doorstep, rain soaking through his jacket, his jaw tight with years of guilt. "You think I wanted this?" he spat, eyes blazing. "You think I wanted to hurt you? I spent 5 years hating myself every single day, Alex. But he needed someone. And you," his voice cracked, raw and bitter. "You weren't there." The truth hit me like a blade. I hadn't been there. I had run. I left Ethan bleeding and my brother drowning, too consumed by my own pain to face theirs. "I'm sorry," I whispered, and for the first time in years, Daniel's anger faltered. We stood in silence, rain dripping from our hair, two brothers broken by love, by loyalty, by choices we could never undo. In the weeks that followed, the three of us circled one another like planets in collision. Every meeting ended in arguments. Every silence weighed with things unsaid. Yet underneath the chaos, something fragile began to form, a strange kind of understanding, bruised but alive. Ethan and I found ourselves walking together again, not as lovers, not yet, but as men trying to stitch together the pieces of who we once were. He held my hand one evening on the Brooklyn Bridge, his grip hesitant, almost afraid. "I don't know if we'll ever be okay," he admitted, "but I want to try. With you." And for the first time, I didn't flinch. The final reckoning came on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Daniel invited us both to the old family house, a place that had once been filled with laughter. We sat around the kitchen table, the same one where we'd shared birthdays and secrets, and for the first time in years, we spoke not as enemies, but as brothers, as men who had hurt and been hurt. "I can't erase what I did," Daniel said softly, his eyes on me, "but I can step aside. If you two still love each other, don't waste it." There was no triumph in hearing those words, only relief heavy enough to make my chest ache. When Ethan reached for my hand this time, I didn't resist. I looked at Daniel, and though his eyes glistened with pain, there was also peace. A broken kind of peace, but peace nonetheless. That night, Ethan and I walked the streets until dawn. We talked about the past, about the future, about the cracks that would always remain but didn't have to define us. He kissed me beneath the first light of morning, soft and certain, and for once, the world didn't feel like it was ending. Love isn't perfect. It's messy, it's cruel, it scars deeper than anything else. But sometimes, if you're lucky, it gives you a second chance. Not the same as the first, never as innocent, but maybe stronger, maybe truer. And as Ethan's arms wrapped around me, steady and warm, I knew that whatever came next, we would face it together. Not as the boy and the brother who betrayed me, not as the man who ran, but as two people who had finally learned what it meant to stay. The silence that once destroyed us no longer held power. Instead, in its place, there was something else, something fragile, something fierce. There was us. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.